All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. I'd like to welcome you to the Truth Be Told Flex Podcast Extra. I am Shia Yeshua Judah. If you are new here, just smash that like button. If you find value in the content that we are providing on this channel, please subscribe. For those who have been rocking with us from day one, I want to say thank you. Continue to rock with us as we continue to put out good content to keep the people aware of what's happening in the world. This is the extra side. We do have a Truth Be Told Flex podcast, which premieres every Wednesday, 7:30 Central, 8:30 on the East. This week is going to be a really great show. We're going to have the Light Hebrew Magazine in, Sister Delta. She's going to sit with us and she's going to tell us what's going on within the nation. We got some great stories also that we're going to talk about this week, where it be myself, Ayo Ben Yahu, and Banat Shalahaya. But today, as you can see by the ticker, we're going to talk about three major banks that are abruptly terminating accounts, just turning them off. We're going to talk about one of the strangest stories that I have ever heard of as well. I just want to know what you guys think, mainly about the second story that we're going to talk about. I'm not going to be long. These are, just a few teasers. We may get into some of these here later on the show. We may not, but I did think that these here, especially this first one, is worthy to be talked about. JP Morgan Chase and Citibank are abruptly terminating accounts, triggering chaos and confusion for customers. The way technology is moving, everything is linked to everything. Don't have to get off the couch too much for anything no more. Where it started out where we just had smartphones, now it done move to smart cars. And believe it or not, people have what they consider smart houses. I was at a customer's house just the other day, and his refrigerator, it was a Samsung refrigerator, and the front of the refrigerator looked just like a Samsung Galaxy, and it had apps on it. And I was like, wow. I say, so you can download apps? He said, yeah, just go to the Play Store, download the apps. I was like, I say, you can watch YouTube on it? He was like, yeah. He say, I can also see what's in the refrigerator with the camera. I was like, so you go to the camera, you just flip the camera and it shows you what's in the refrigerator. He was like, yeah, this is how technology is moving. And the only thing that is old, or should I say outdated or antiquated, is money, cash. And believe you me, that the powers to be are working diligently to get that part of the equation fixed. They're doing everything that they can to get cash out of our hands and put you and me and the rest of the world on what is considered a blockchain. Some kind of way, somehow, someday, sooner than later, we will be spending digital money. Now, they have already started setting us up for this, so this is not something that's new. Every time you make a transaction with Cash App, that's digital money. Even on your debit and credit cards, that's digital money. But what they're going to do is get to a point where everything be digital, everything be tied into the blockchain, everything goes through the Federal Reserve. And now they are the ones who see all of your spendings, when, to where, and how. And if they don't agree with it, they may not allow you to make that purchase. So when you see your favorite apps like Cash App and PayPal and Zelle start acting as if they're not working, it's not that they really have a problem. What's happening is that the people who are controlling these things are causing the problems on your favorite apps so that they can gain a distrust in you toward those apps so that you can use pay now system the same way they are gaining a distrust towards the banks. I just did a report not long ago here on the Truth Be Told Flex podcast extra where there was banks that was saying, and I believe Wells Fargo was one of those banks and Bank of America as well, that they were saying that people direct deposits were going to be slow. And the only thing that they can do about it is just wait. That's all they could do is just wait. So now here today, we got JP Morgan Chase, Citibank, abruptly terminating accounts, just turning them off. The article says a new report is calling out JP Morgan Chase, Citibank, and the U.S. banking system at large for kicking loyal customers to the curb in a systemic exiting process. Slovakia. Nearly 200 former Chase members have sent complaints to the New York Times, stating their accounts was wrongfully terminating, triggering financial chaos and confusion. The account terminations are due in part to a sweeping bureaucratic security process that's supposed to thwart criminals, stop frauds, terrorism, money laundering, and human trafficking. But those closures are placing honest people and businesses in dire financial straits, with banks often taking weeks to send account balances, often after termination. And although abrupt account closures appear to be on the rise, banks are not required to report details on how many accounts are being shut down or how often they make a mistake. JP Morgan Chase spokesperson Jerry Dubrowski says the bank is following the law, and so-called de-risking shutdowns are typically justified. We act in accordance with our compliance program, consistent with our regulatory obligations. We know that can be frustrating to clients, but we must follow those obligations. The vast majority of closures are correct, consistent with regulatory obligations we are required to follow. JP Morgan is also accused of exiling customers due to their religious or political beliefs. Back in May, Attorney General in 19 states sent a letter to the bank CEO, Jamie Dimon, stating that financial giants have violated its own policies on equality when shuttering accounts. The Times also calls out Citibank and interviews Carolyn Potter, a former customer whose account was abruptly closed for no apparent reason. Potter suspects it happens because her husband's company was acquired by an organization in the cannabis industry. But to this day, the bank will not give her an explanation. I felt like there was a secretive department at the bank, and anyone who wasn't in that department didn't even know about it. Citibank says it will not comment on the case. A sweeping report from Reuters show banks are submitting suspicious activity reports to governments at a rising rate. The number of submissions jumped from 2.5 million in 2020 to 3.0 million in 2021 to 3.6 million in 2022. Banks are not required to tell customers if they filed an SAR. According to the Bank's Policy Institution, only 4% of SARs submitted by banks to law enforcement result in a follow-up, and an extremely small fraction of the follow-up results in arrests and convictions. So banks now are shutting down accounts, turning people over to the governments, denying access to your accounts because of your religious backgrounds or your beliefs, or a business that they feel like that you should not be having. All of this is shaping up for a universal money hub, so that everything that you have can be controlled and owned by the government. That's what's happening. Whatever little freedoms you thought that you had, soon these freedoms are going to be over. There's nothing you can do about it when the bank decides that they no longer want to hold you as a customer. We're just going to shut your accounts down. So what's going to happen when they shut everybody's account down, and then they say, hey, you got to open up a blockchain, and the money that we have in our banks with your name on it, we're going to add that to the blockchain. So now you have to start spending off the blockchain. And you can't purchase anything unless you purchase it from the blockchain with the digital currency that we are providing for you. Soon, employers are going to start telling employees that, hey, you have to get you a blockchain, because we're no longer going to be crediting money to the banks, because they can't trust the banks. Businesses can't trust the banks. The article said that not only was they terminating accounts of people, they was terminating accounts of businesses as well. So businesses are not in the business of losing money. They are in the business of making money, for-profit organizations. And so if they can't trust the bank, the next best thing for them to do is to put everything on the blockchain, and even put the employees' payroll on the blockchain. So when those who say that they'll never go digital currency, well, you're going to go digital currency if you want to eat. What's going to happen when your landlord say that, hey, you can only pay me from the blockchain? For those who say that they'll never go digital currency, if you want somewhere to call home, you're going to have to spin off the blockchain. This is where technology is going. This is what it's summing up to be, and there's nothing really that many of us can do about it. So don't believe the hype in these banks closing their doors, terminating accounts. Don't believe that. That is mistakes being made, and that something is wrong with the system. No, mistakes are not being made. Nothing is wrong with the system. It's just the higher up, the people, the 1%, a small group of people that control everything. They are the ones that is causing a problem. They're going to come with their solution, which is central bank digital currency. Now to the next story. This was a strange story. As I told you, this is probably one of the most strangest stories that I've ever heard. 4 current and former LA Sheriff Department employees died by suicide in a 24-hour span. Now, how believable is that? That 4 police officers died by suicide in the same city from the same force. It's really hard for me to believe. This was one of those stories that when I heard it, it had suspicion written all over it. All over it, it had suspicion. Did they really commit suicide? And if so, why? What were they into that caused them to kill themselves? The suicide deaths of 4 current and former Los Angeles Sheriff Department employees over a 24-hour span have prompted a plea from Sheriff Robert Luna urging deputies to check on the well-being of their colleagues and friends. There was something going on in the Department of LA. Now, not long ago, I've done a story on 2 models that was found within 3 miles of each other, both dead, both murdered. One was considered death by accident, while the other one was determined a murder. But I believe that both of them was murdered. And in my stories that I reported, I said that it could have been a cop that did it because of how these bodies were found. Right? What if these police that ended up dead saying that they killed themselves, what if they was killed because they had gained information on that? Now, understand that this is total speculation. I'm not saying that that's what it is. I have absolutely no idea. But whatever it is, it's hard for me to believe that 4 police officers, current officers and former officers, committed suicide in the same city. Now, the suicide rate of police officers is high, especially in major cities. But in the same city, in the same department, something was going on. There needs to be an investigation going on in the city of LA. You're not going to make me believe that these officers killed themselves. And if they did kill themselves, they were in something that they had no business being into, and time was running out on them. And the only thing that they had left to do was to kill themselves, which still warrants an investigation. There needs to be answers to the people in Los Angeles. That's not normal. That's not normal at all. The article said that there is no indication that the deaths were related or that foul play was involved, but department sources who spoke to on the condition of the anonymity because of the ongoing investigation said the 3rd and 4th deaths were discovered as word of the earlier deaths was spreading through the agency. Luna comments came a day after the suicide of 1 former and 3 current employees, which occurred within 24-hour span that began Monday. Investigation needs to be performed in the city of LA. They either knew something or they were involved in something that was illegal. Either way, there needs to be an investigation and there needs to be some type of explaining. What say you people? What do you think about that? Do you really believe that 4 LA cops killed themselves, or do you think that they were murdered? And do you agree with me that some type of investigation need to be handed down in the city of LA? This is Shahir Yashub Judah. This is Truth Be Told Flex Podcast. Extra this Wednesday. Please join us. Myself, Ayo Ben Yahoo, Manat Shalahaya. We're also going to have the Light Hebrew magazine in the house as well. Good news, even better music, and a family environment. Shalom.